Hi, welcome to my video, my channel introduction video. The first thing you're going to ask is, what's this channel all about? Well, the answer to that is, I don't really know. It's about what I decide it's going to be about in the future, which is why this video is called The Way Forward. I've got some ideas, I know what I want to do, and I think I'm going about it the right way, but I haven't got a clue. But the best thing to do is come along on the journey with me and see where we're going. Right, let me start at the beginning. Way back in 1990, some 31 years ago now, I broke a world record. The world record I broke was the world's fastest talker. That's right, yes, I have. I still have it. I still have the world record. It's never been broken. I can speak, or I could speak, at a rate of 637 words per minute, which is 10.25 words per second. And that broke me a world record. I also broke a second world record for fast talking at the same time, which, if you look in the comments, there's a link to my blog which will take you to another video which will show you what happened with the second world record and what happened later and why I gave it up. Anyway, in 1990 I broke the world record. If you look in the Guinness Book of Records from, say, 1990 to 2001, you'll find me in there. However, in about 2000, because of what had happened to me and the way I'd been treated, again, you need to see the other video, look in the links, I decided I would step back from being this Z-list, yeah, I mean, I'm right down the bottom there, famous personality, and I would step back from being that person. I would just get on with my life. And then leave the world record. I didn't need to do anything with it. I'd achieved everything that I'd wanted to achieve. I had a world record. How many people have got that? I mean, yeah, I had a world record. Anyway, we move on now till about 2013. In 2013, I noticed I had a lump on the side of my neck appear. Now, this is very important. If you suddenly get a lump appear, please go to your doctors to check it out. I noticed this lump on the side of my neck, and I happened to go to my doctors about something else, and I just said to her, oh, I've got this lump on the side of my neck. And she took one look at it and said, okay, that needs looking at. Within 2 weeks, I'd had an appointment to see a consultant who said he thought it was a cyst. A couple of weeks later, they scheduled, no, it was less than a week later, it was a couple of days later, they scheduled a biopsy where they took a sample of the cyst. And a week later, they phoned me to tell me they'd had the results of the cyst and could I come in. And I came into the hospital, and they told me, well, it's not a cyst, it's cancer. You've got follicular lymphoma, which is a very low-grade cancer. In fact, I remember what the guy said at the time. He said to me, if you're going to get a cancer, this is one of the better ones to get, because although it's not curable, yeah, how's that better, I wonder? Although it's not curable, it is treatable, and we can certainly control it for a little while. So, moving on a bit, I suddenly got worse, and we decided that I would have radiotherapy on this side of my neck. It got rid of the lump. It put the cancer into remission for that time. However, a disadvantage is it actually destroyed some of the saliva glands on this side of my face. This didn't affect me in most things, except it gave me a very dry mouth. That meant that I could no longer talk at world record speeds. Not that I was that bothered about it, because I'd sort of walked away from it 10 years before, but very occasionally I get somebody contact me and say, you know, can you do fast talking? And I do it once in a while, especially if it's for charity. I don't mind supporting a charity. So anyway, where were we? I'm not doing this to a script, by the way. I'm ad-libbing this, which is going to take us to where I'm going to be, or where I want to be, and why I'm ad-libbing this. Anyway, so I've had my radiotherapy, I've got my dry throat, it sent my cancer into remission, I've carried on with my life. Then we come to 2017, I started to feel unwell again. And we were on holiday in Mallorca in Spain, and I got really ill while we were away, so we came home, I went straight to my consultant, and it turns out that my cancer had returned. So they did all the tests, and I went in for chemotherapy. I had my chemotherapy. That took a year. But with the help of the medical team and my spirit, I had determination. if you break a world record, right, there's one thing that you must absolutely have. You must have single-minded determination, absolutely single-minded, to the exclusion of everything else. That focus and that determination that I set for the world record, I managed to retain, and I directed it at my cancer. So between the chemotherapy and, I believe, my own internal, I can't quantify it, determination, we'll call it determination, my own determination, we beat it, we knocked it back, we sent it into remission. Bear in mind, follicular lymphoma is not curable. Anyway, it went into remission. So that was about mid 2018 that I'd finally beaten it and got the all clear. I think it's about August 2018. Unfortunately, N.H.L, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, follicular lymphoma, it's the same thing. It's a cancer of the immune system. It's a cancer, it's a blood cancer. It actually affects the white blood cells called lymphocytes, which are a very important part of the immune system. Now, what that means is that I'm immunocompromised. My immune system isn't as strong as yours and most people's, and I'm not able to fight off things as well as other people. However, I've just beaten cancer twice, so I'm quite high. We get towards December 2018, January 2019. Oops, sorry, January 2019, and I go and do. I don't know how, but I caught the flu. I don't know where I caught it from. I don't recall anybody having the flu, but I actually caught the flu. Yeah, common or garden flu, the same flu that everybody has, the same flu that people phone up for work and say, "Hey boss, I can't come into work today, I've got the flu," and then miraculously you're 3 days later you're back in work. That's not the flu. That's a heavy cold. You've never had the flu. If you think that's the flu, you've never had the flu. The flu is devastating. I cannot believe how devastating it was. I thought I'd had the flu in the past. I'd never had a flu, just a bad cold. It knocked me off my feet. It completely knocked me off my feet. I woke up one morning and I felt absolutely awful. And my ears felt like they were really sore and on fire. I made an emergency appointment with my doctors. And I walked into the doctor's. She took one look at me, she did my stats, and she was immediately calling for an ambulance. That's how serious flu is. You know, the doctor was calling me to get me into hospital. Anyway, I got into hospital. I spent a week in the hospital, and there were times when everybody didn't think that I would make it. Yes, flu is that bad. It is that bad a disease that for nearly a week, I didn't think I'd survive, and nor did anybody else. But again, my spirit came through. I won. I beat it. After a week, I started to recover. Then I caught pneumonia. Because my immune system was weak, because I got the flu and everything else, I caught pneumonia. I couldn't believe it. I come out of hospital. Within a week of coming out of hospital, I've got pneumonia. I've only got single pneumonia, so it's not too bad. So back into hospital we go, back onto the antibiotics, back treating me. I'm in there for 4 days. I come out, and I get double pneumonia. It's spread to both sides of my lungs. Back into hospital I go. More treatment, on oxygen. Again, quite a serious condition. And this goes on for a couple of weeks. Eventually I pull through and I come out. And I'm doing okay for about 6 to 8 weeks. And then it comes back again. And again. And this repeats itself throughout 2019. In fact, I think I spent from about February till late September constantly coughing. Even my neighbours, even my next door neighbours, they posted on Facebook one day that they can't believe how much they've heard me coughing, and how it must be wearing me out. It was to actually spend a year coughing is unbelievable. Finally, in about September 2019, I actually fully recovered from the pneumonia completely. Devastating disease. Then they hit me with the real bad news. The real bad news is, because the damage that had already been done to my lungs by the pneumonia, I had something called bronchiectasis. Now bear in mind, I've already got follicular lymphoma, which is an incurable cancer, okay? It's incurable, it's chronic, it's degenerative. That means it gets worse over time and it can't be cured. So the medical profession give me the second bit of bad news in my life. I've got something called bronchiectasis. You may not have heard of it. I've only just heard of it when in 2019. I didn't know what it was. But what bronchiectasis is, I'll give you the full name of the disease. It's called non-cystic fibrosis bronchiectasis. It is the same disease that people with cystic fibrosis have. The difference being is the people with cystic fibrosis were born with it. It's genetic. Bronchiectasis is a disease that's caused by something else. In this case, it was my pneumonia that caused it. So they've given me that bit of bad news. Now, what bronchiectasis does is it causes me to overproduce mucus all the time. I'm producing more mucus than I need, and it's filling my lungs. And what basically happens is it fills my lungs, and I can only describe it as you're like drowning in mucus, so you've got to constantly keep clearing it. And if you don't clear it, it lays at the bottom of your lungs, and anything underneath it starts to get infected, and that infection causes you to start coughing again. And when you start coughing, you do more and more damage to your lungs. Like I said, it's the second incurable degenerative chronic condition that I've managed to get. Yeah, lucky me. Right, so I've got this condition, and this explains my voice. This is why it is. This is why it's all gravelly. Between the loss of my saliva glands and this bronchiectasis, which, because I'm overproducing mucus, my system is constantly bringing it up, and it's getting to my vocal cords. That's what's sitting on my vocal cords, all right? I'm not a smoker. This is not a smoker's rasp. This is just purely the gunk sitting on my vocal cords, and I constantly have to get rid of it. So that's taken us now to January, February 2020. By the time I'm fully recovered and I'm feeling, fit, and I've gone back to work full time. Yeah, February 2020, okay. Then in March, the COVID pandemic hit, didn't it? Because I'm already immunocompromised, because I've got this second serious disease, I was classed as clinically extremely vulnerable and advised to shield. So what I did is I decided in March of 2020, I would give up work. I just cannot carry on working for the time that I'm shielding. So all the time this pandemic is on, I'm not going to work. So I didn't. And then as it went on and on and on, and as this pandemic started to become a year, I realised that actually I can't go back to work. I'm never going to go back to work, because as soon as the one thing about the year I've noticed is I didn't get any infections all the time I was shielding. That's because I was staying away from people. So the shielding did work in that respect. I didn't have flu, I didn't have a cold for a whole year, and no bronchiectasis exasperations. Now, so I've decided I'm going to finish work. I'm 61 years old. There's not a lot else I can do. So I decided, that's it, I've finished work. Trouble is, I'm a very social person, and I enjoyed the interaction I had with the people I worked with. In my last job, I was an Uber driver. It's not a dramatic, it's not a fantastic career, but it worked for me, and it allowed me to work all my medical appointments around, working. So I actually trained as a printer, but that's a different story. I might tell you another time. So I've come to this decision. I've been like a prisoner for the last year. 15 months now I've been shielding. I've been a bit like a prisoner. I've kept away from people. I've kept away from my family. It's only as now, as we're starting to come out of lockdown, at the time that I'm making this, that I've started to get back to being with my family, but I still have to keep away from people, and I'm really not well enough to go back to work full time. I think that's gone beside the wayside. So what am I going to do? What is the way forward? Well, I've got all this equipment. I've got computers, I've got microphones, I've got cameras, I've got this microphone. What am I going to do with it? I know, let's use it. What do people do? What's this streaming? Let's investigate streaming. What is streaming all about? Why do people broadcast themselves? What do they do? So I've done a little bit of research into streaming, okay? And I've come across 3 categories of streamer. These are general broad categories. I keep knocking the microphone. I'm sorry, I'm ad-libbing this, right? I'm ad-libbing this. I'm not scripting it. I'm not making any edits, and I'm not cutting it. I'm ad-libbing it. Right. So I've got 3 broad categories of streamer, okay? There's the hardcore gamer. There's the one that plays games all the time, and they talk through their games, and they've got their little face cam up in the corner, and they're telling you about the games, and they get real technical and all into the shit of the game and everything else. I play a couple of games. They're not the world's most exciting game, but they amuse me, and I do play them for a couple of hours each day, but I don't think that I could actually go online and talk about the games for very more than about 5 minutes before I would bore myself to sleep, let alone bore somebody else. So that's gamers. The next type of streamer is what I call the titty bum bum. All right, now there's a clue there in titty bum bum, and as far as I can tell, it basically consists of wearing a bikini in a hot tub and asking for money to jump in and out of the hot tub, or change the colour of the bikini, or I've seen other ones in swimming pools, or subscribe and donate and I'll jump in the pool, or subscribe and donate and I'll put a one-piece swimsuit on. Okay, fine. And then there's the third type of people, and they're the people that go on stream and they chat and they talk some absolute shit. They talk the most rubbish I've ever known anybody to talk, and they do it for hours. That's the three broad categories of streamer. I don't really play games. Let's face it, I'm 61 years old, I'm overweight, I'm not exactly good looking, I'm not going to look that good in a bikini, am I? No, that's not happening. But I can talk. That's one thing I can do. In fact, I've got a world record for it that's never been broken. I can talk. I've always been able to talk, so I'm going to go for that category. Hence the reason I'm ad-libbing this, because that's what I have to do when you're streaming. You have to ad-lib this. Even though I'm pre-recording, I could sit here and I could make perfect edits, perfect cuts, perfect transitions, take out all the little mistakes, but you can't do that when you're live. It's how it is. So that's what I'm doing. I'm recording this exactly how I'm going to be. What am I going to talk about? Where am I going to go? I don't know. I'll let you know. In my head right now, I'm going to start off by doing how-to tutorials on the software I use to stream and how I've got going on the streaming. So in my head, I've sort of got it as an idea that I'm going to take you all along on a little journey to see how we go with streaming. I say take you all. I've done a couple of test streams on Twitch and Facebook Live and YouTube, and my total number of followers at this point is 0. No, it's not, it's 1. I have 1 follower on Twitch, okay? I have none on YouTube, and I have very few when I put it on Facebook. Even though I go public on Facebook, I think the maximum I've had was 8. So I'm going to try and improve on that. It doesn't matter if people watch me. I'm doing it for me. This is my way to recapture some of that social communication that I've had over the years that I've lost because of various things in my life and my diseases. So this is what I want to do. So I'm just going to be me, and I'm just going to do and say what I want to do. Now this streaming is also going to be combined with my blog, which is at woodmore.co.uk. Again, you can tell this is live, right? It's a lovely sunny day. It's 28 degrees out there. I've got the windows open and somebody's just gone by on a motorcycle. Again, I could edit this out, but I'm not going to. We'll leave it in. Where was I? No, I completely lost the plot there. Completely lost the plot on the streaming. So yeah, I'm just going to be me. Yes, the website. I've got a blog, a WordPress blog, which is at woodmore.co.uk, which I'm going to update as well. I plan to stream on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live all at the same time. I'm having some technical issues with the software. I've done a couple of test streams. They've not been fantastic, but that's part of the process I intend to take along with you. And as I go through it, as I discover more about the software, and as I learn more about the software, I should do some how-tos on it, because the way I see it is, if I've had to struggle with some of these things, other people have had to struggle with some of these things. I've yet to find my niche, but I'm pretty sure there aren't many 61-year-old people that have got world records for fast talking and can actually ad-lib and talk bollocks for hours. So I'm pretty sure there's a niche in there somewhere for me, but I'm going to find it. Anyway, this is my intro video. This is what my channel's about. What it's going to be about. It's going to be very eclectic. I mean, I've got all sorts on there. I've got some demos on some how-tos on some software, some editing software I've used in the past. I've got some footage from my dash cam from where I've gone on holiday to the Isle of Wight just recently. I've got some earlier stuff from when I had my world records back 30 years ago. I say when I've still got my world records. That's never been broken. So it's very eclectic, and it will carry on going forward. So I never know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do whatever I feel like, because I'm past caring now, and I'm going to stream and do what it is that I just want to do. So I hope you'll come along with me. Please do. Oh, there's a bus gone past now. Please do. Please join. Please subscribe, and let's see what happens. Anyway, let's turn this all off, and look out for my first video soon.